YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, and we are on Shimmer's Ward with a 3v3 in Total War Warhammer 2 that you won't want to miss. This one is going to be pretty good. It has an unlikely alliance of Kroak and Kroak teaming up with Skaven and Norska. What kind of bizarro, flipped upside down world could this be? Well, who knows, but they have teamed up and it should be interesting. It's also being played on ultra unit sizes, which means that there's going to be even more wanton carnage and destruction in this battle than even our typical one. And let's take a look at the armies so you all kind of get an idea of what's going to happen before the battle gets started, because the armies do clash with each other fairly quickly in this one. We're going to have Kroak leading the Lizardmen. He's got a skink chief supporting him, and most importantly, that great deliverer of pizza, Lord Kroak. So Kroak is here to do some support. Now remember, with Kroak, it's all about blobs if he wants to be able to get his value in there. We do have some Marauder champions here for Norska. Really solid armored infantry that are going to be good against unarmored infantry. And for the lizards up front, we've got red-crested skinks. Let's just take a look at some of the units here. Marauder Hunters in the back. We've got the Icehorn Marauders, which is a regiment of renown. Wulfric the Wanderer with his ship and fight or die. Shaman Sorcerer with Burning Head, Flamestorm, and Flaming Sword of Ruin. We do have some Norscan Ice Wolves here in the back, butting up against the Skaven, and the Skaven have a fair number of Storm Vermin with halberds. You can see them here across a second line. There are some Skaven slaves up front, blocking for Poison Wind Mortars, Avalanche Mortars, and they are backed up by a Plague Claw Catapult. And then they also have some support from Rattling Guns. So there's going to be some pretty heavy firepower here for the Skaven. Some Cold One Spear Riders are backing up the Skaven, who are led by a Grey Seer of Ruin, I guess in order to just help get more funds put into the Rat-a-tat-tat here for the Skaven. He's got Howling Warp Gale to control flyers, and Crack's Call, which is a bit of a wind spell. Now, if we take a look at the goblins, and I love Skarsnik's army, might I say, in this match, and I think you will too. We do have Skarsnik leading the scheming himself there with Gobla, and then he's got a Night Gobla Shaman, and then there are a lot of nasty Skulkers, Night Goblins, and some Night Goblin Archers out here. So really fun Vanguard Goblin army that is highly focused on their left flank, right flank of the submitting team here. We've got a bunch of Night Goblin Squig Hoppers mixed in with Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers. This is a huge bunch of Goblin Light Cavalry, and is very fun, and kind of reminisces in some ways of the new Age of Sigmar 3rd edition with all of the new greenskin units there. So we've got some Silver Helms here for the High Elves, and they are led by Tyrion. There's going to be some Silverin Guard and Spearmen making up their army. They are supported by a Lore Master of Hoeth. Not an often used hero, but an interesting hero because of the little bit of death magic, life magic, light magic. It's kind of a mix. Then we've got 3 Sisters of Avalorn supporting some White Lions. Never see much out of White Lions, but I guess you never know. And then we do have the Empire over here as well, with some Spearmen, Halberds, a second line of Crossbows and Archers, and then an Artillery Corps of Great Cannons. There's 2 of those, and a Hellstorm Rocket Battery. Then more Spears and Halberds with some Huntsmen hidden in the back. And then there is Karl Franz on his horse, as well as a Bright Wizard rocking Flamestorm and Fireball. If we go over here, just a quick note here, some Wolf Rats and Ripperdactyl Riders who are going to be working together. Again, an odd combination. Let's hit play and see how this one unfolds. Norska and the Lizards are going to find themselves under a massive artillery barrage from the Empire, and right away the rockets are going to make their presence felt. And typically that's enough to get players moving. It's hard to sit back and just take a rocket barrage. And with 2 great cannons, you can see what happened to the Norscan Ice Trolls here. They're going to be taking massive damage. And then the Goblins are going to start making their move against the Skaven, probably hoping to use the stalk and, the sneaky stalk abilities here just to get in close and try and potentially get a hold of the Skaven unawares. And it is possible. The Goblins are quite sneaky. So you can see the artillery. Look at it, just absolutely shredding over here. Now the Ripper Riders and the Wolf Rats just dive bombed right into the Empire. Let's go see if that's looking very effective here real quick. I'm gonna swing across the map because this one is a long one. Here's the Ripper Riders. They've gotten into the Huntsman and are trying to cause some damage, but they actually took a lot of damage there from the Huntsman. I don't think this is going to be a good engagement for the Ripper Riders. Too much Empire support, and the Wolf Rats are too far back. So I'm not sure how this one's going to turn out. Ripper Riders do have a anti-infantry. Oh, yeah, the Sisters of Avalorn turned around. Rip Ripper Riders. Ripper Riders. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a perfect name for them. Ripperdactyl. Emphasis on the rest in pieces. This one's doing pretty good because it's not taking the fire, and it's chewing through those Huntsmen pretty fast. This one still managed to get that unit of Huntsmen. So, I mean, some nice distraction, I think, from the Lizardmen. Some nice distraction. Look at this, the Skaven see the incoming goblins now, and they've turned their mortar fire. Let's see what happens over here real quick, because the other side of the battle, they're still rushing towards the artillery. Oh, look at this Crack's Call coming up here. Ooh, it was pretty good. Killed a fair number of goblins. And the Poison Wind Mortars are doing everything they can to stave off this flank. Now, fortunately for the Skaven, they did kind of hold up all this flank with a Council Guard, which is an unbreakable unit. But this is a ton of goblins just pouring through the void here. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Kroak is about to deliver a huge pizza. Holy crap. That was a 500 kill deliverance of PITZZA. Wow. Rest in pieces, you sweet goblin princess. 500 kills. Woo! Let's take a look at this flank. The Ice Trolls and Marauder Champion. Now, the Marauder Champions are going to do very well in this fight. This is the fight they were made for. So, against low armor infantry, they are going to get kills for days. And it's going to be pretty similar with the Icehorn Marauders who are charging in here. So, Norska should be in pretty good shape against the infantry. However, they have to deal with a Lore Master, Tyrion, and Franz. All of which are going to be pretty tough. Tyrion is back over here right now. Let's swing back this way. This is like two battles like completely apart from each other, going on simultaneously. See if the Skaven did enough to stop the Greenskins. I mean, they certainly did massive damage. This is a worthless spell, by the way. I've watched this replay before. It started right here and just moved off like this. They need to change the Curse of Bad Moon into something useful. There are other Vortex spells that are still okay if you have a big enough blob, but Curse of the Bad Moon moves really quick and extremely random. It's probably the worst Vortex spell. Like, if not the worst, it's got to be close to one of the worst. Zoom out here. I mean, this is a big fight going on. Skarsnik is after the Greyseer, and obviously the Greyseer is not going to last long in a fight like that. He's got Bois going off for his troops. The Council Guard is making a day of it over here. Let's see. Big rush from the Greenskins to try and get to these mortars. The mortars have had pretty good success so far. This Poison Wind Mortar has like 180-something kills and then 140 on the Avalanche Mortars. Kroak is sitting at 556, so he's gotten some more work done. I think that they've probably done enough to stop the Goblins over here, and it looks like the High Elves are pretty much defeated as well. And that leaves Franz over here trying to hold together, and as expected, the Marauder Champions just cut a swath straight through all that Empire infantry. Norska can clean out Empire infantry like it's no one's business. They're extremely good at it. Berserkers, even regular Marauders are not terrible at it. They've got mammoths, they've got chariots. They have many, many answers. There's a burning head kind of going off this way. It's by the Empire. It's not going to do a ton of good. See, Franz and Tyrion are now getting bogged down in a whole bunch of skinky goodness. I mean, who doesn't like some good skinkety goodness here? Oh, look at those Avalanche Mortars going off in the background. This game's absolutely beautiful. 205 kills. Yeah, they're getting some more work done. Because they only had 140 a moment ago, so they picked up an additional 60 kills. Looks like they're killing off the poor White Lions. The White Lions just never get to realize their potential in this game. CA, please. It's kind of like that. If Curse of the Bad Moon is a bad Vortex spell, then White Lions are the bad heavy infantry. Got some Cold One Spear Riders here. That's definitely going to help put a stop to Carl. There's a couple of units falling in. Though that Fire Sorcerer just unleashed a burning head here right across all these Lizard and Norscan units. Is it enough? Doesn't look like it. Got some damage done against the Red-Crested Skinks, especially, but not much else there. The Lore Master and Tyrion, tough units. Franz, a tough unit, but they're just really overmatched here, and the power bar is really souring against them. If we look back to the other side, the Goblin attack, although persistent, is failing back here. So if I just zoom back across the map, Skarsnik is kind of on his last legs. Kroak is getting close to 600 kills. And that's just going to be all she wrote, folks. Just not going to happen. And then Franz is going to give up the ghost here as well. Absolutely being savaged by all these units. And Tyrion, I mean, ever the tank, and he is a tank of a unit, has yet to give up this fight. Good grief. He just keeps on going. He's like the Energizer Bunny. I think he's, yeah, right up in here. There he is. It's crazy how long that guy can last in a fight. He still hasn't had his leadership broken, and look at the power bar. It takes like all of that to get Tyrion to break. Yeah, he's a mess. And you can tell how tough those units were too, because they were the focal point of all of those units and still just did amazingly well. I mean, wow, just wow with Kroak here. That is an incredible amount of damage dealt. The damage value wasn't huge because it was a ton of goblins, but think about getting that much value off of goblins. So it just gives you some idea of how many goblins were killed by Kroak, and the answer is a lot. That Red-Crested Skink did well. Gorok was doing good because he was taking almost no damage. That's what Gorok does. That's kind of like his role in fight, right? Is just don't take a lot of damage. One of the Ripper Riders came out good despite that rough start. So, I mean, that's a pretty respectable performance for the Ripper Riders. Another pretty good one out of this Skink here as well. So, nicely done by Anarion there. Let's take a look at Tenebrae here. His Gracier was doing pretty darn well. They're not a terribly expensive unit and did well. The Council Guard was getting a ton of kills. Look at that. Ended up being 352 kills. Holy smokes, man. The Avalanche Mortars were absolutely going off there at the end because every time I would check them, the kills just kept rising. Even better value, though, on the Poison Wind Mortars. I've always found, like, in campaign, I know they nerfed them some, but still, Poison Wind Mortars are still extremely good in campaign. Like, you can get the AI a little bit bottled up, and I mean, you can just go to town with some Poison Wind Mortars. They work extremely well. Let's go look at Kapolenkin here. And his Norska value did pretty good here with the Shaman. And the infantry units aren't going to show a ton of value because it was Empire infantry, but I mean, they were shellacking the Empire. I mean, look at the decent health, the overall health of the Norscan army here. Just shows you how successful they were in that fight against the Empire. Scruffy McBruffy here was the unfortunate recipient of a pizza that he really didn't order and probably didn't want. And his poor goblins paid the price. It's like if Grom orders a pizza but then isn't there to pick it up, and it shows up, and you can imagine what a pizza is like from Grom. It's going to kill a lot of people. And that's exactly what happened to Scruffy McBuffy here. His units just, they got the pizza that no one wanted. Except for Kroak. Kroak, of course, wanted that. Tyrion ends up still getting a ton of damage. Look how many hit points he had left. I wonder how long, like, if he was an unbreakable unit, that fight probably would have dragged on for like another 5 minutes. And he is an absolute unit when it just comes to what he's capable of doing. The Sisters of Avalorn got managed very well, and I would imagine that that was the mortars. If the Sisters came in range of the mortars, those units will absolutely slice them apart. So no surprise there if they did. And then as for the rockets, I mean, they basically paid for themselves really quick, but the infantry just couldn't hold against Norska. I mean, the Fire Sorcerer did pretty, or sorry, yeah, Bright Wizard did good. Yeah, Carl did okay, I think, considering that he was heavily outmatched. But I mean, yeah, it turns rough real quick because, like I said, Norska can cut straight through Empire infantry. It's just kind of what they do. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. I know I had a lot of fun with this one, and I appreciate being able to see probably one of the biggest deliverances of PITZZA I have ever seen. It's a very fun spell. I had a lot of fun with it in campaign, and I guess in this Ultra Funds battle it had the real opportunity to come shine. It is difficult to get Kroak to pay for himself in a multiplayer battle, and it probably happened there. But that also shows you how many kills he has to get in order to make it worth it for him. It is difficult, but like I said, it is fun, and who doesn't like a good deliverance of PITZZA? Hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll be back soon with more action in Total War Warhammer 2.